Welcome back. You're listening to Fight Extra on talkSPORT 2. Adi Oladipo, Gareth A. Davies. All right, the big question, I guess, for the last couple of weeks now is who is Daniel Dubois going to fight next? Frank Warren wants him to fight February 22nd. As it stands right now, we're filming this November 5th. It will not be Anthony Joshua. That rematch won't happen. So who next? I think the man right at the front of the queue is a certain Joseph Parker, who's been on a tear in the last 15 months. I spoke to Joseph Parker on Saturday for talkSPORT. This is what he had to say.
You know what? I have been very vocal about wanting to fight Daniel Dubois. I think, like Adam said, he's done exceptionally well with Don Charles and his dad and his team. He's looked great with the Miller fight, Herkovich fight. He's looked good against Joshua, getting that devastating knockout. But there's a difference with me and all those other fighters. I'm fresh, I'm hungry, and I'm ready to go. And I've been waiting since March for a big fight. Let's get it on now. I feel like they've been they're sort of asking around different fighters and different opponents and seeing which one fits. And you see the IBF coming out saying eliminator, fight not eliminator. So there are a few things to be able to, a few hurdles they have to jump through to try and make this fight happen. But I feel like it can happen, and I want it to happen. But hopefully everyone can come together and make this fight happen.
Joseph Parker there, basically just saying, look, I want that fight. I am ready. I will take that fight on 2 weeks' notice. Give me the opportunity to fight Daniel Dubois. And I don't think there's going to be anyone, Gareth, out there that says no. Every single fight fan would agree with Joseph Parker. He deserves it, and it's a fight that I think will do incredible numbers. I think it'll be a fantastic fight as well.
Yeah, no, it's a brilliant stylistic matchup as well. When you look at Joseph Parker and what he's done in his last 5 fights, and you look where Daniel Dubois is. Daniel Dubois right now is a seek and destroy missile in the ring. Joseph Parker is a guy that has handled... He utterly nullified the biggest puncher in heavyweight boxing in Deontay Wilder, the most explosive puncher. And I say belittled him. I don't mean that. He took him to school when we watched him in Riyadh, and he nearly stopped him, he beat him up. He beat him up.
Yeah,
he didn't knock him out.
That's the perfect way. He beat him up.
He beat him up.
That sums up.
Joseph Parker is probably the most deserving guy of a world title shot. Whether they'll take it or not is another matter. And maybe in hearing him there's not a desperation, but there's a feeling that he was being teased to him, and maybe it's not there anymore. And he feels like the need to put that out right now.
Yeah,
put it out.
What he said. Yeah, and what he also said, well, obviously we couldn't play the interview in full there, but what he also said as well is like, look, I've been waiting and wanting a fight. Like he's been desperate. Like he said, he got teased an opportunity to fight in October. He put his hands up. He was in shape. He said, yep. And then he got teased the fact that he might be on the December card. Fury Usyk. Obviously, they went a different route. So he's like, well, 1 second, I want to fight. Joseph Parker has been so good in the last 15 months, like Daniel Dubois, because he's been active. He's like, I've been super active and I want to stay active. So he's just ready for a fight. I mean, I asked him, look, if not Dubois, who do you want? He said, I'll fight Cabiel. I'll fight anyone. But I just feel like the Dubois fight makes sense. My fear now is because Daniel Dubois has almost got the pick of the bunch, he can go anywhere. So why go Joseph Parker? I mean, if I'm frank, you probably steer him away from a Joseph Parker. Like, why risk that? Because Joseph Parker, Daniel Dubois is such a competitive fight. So Daniel Dubois could pick anyone. I mean, literally, he can go anyone he wants, really. So would you roll the dice with a Joseph Parker when you don't have to? I'm not sure he would.
No, they won't roll the dice because there's too many big fights out there for Daniel Dubois. I mean, who knows what's going to happen to Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk when they fight on December the 21st in Riyadh. To all intents and purposes, if Tyson Fury loses a second time to Alexander Usyk, there's a rematch there for Daniel Dubois. And that's all the belts. So there's a lot of pieces on the chessboard. And it's a voluntary. And regardless of what anyone says, that was still a tough fight for him to go into against Anthony Joshua, even though he eviscerated him in 5 rounds. But you look at the IBF rankings right now, if I might pull them up here. Agit Kabayel is 3. Bakoli is 4. Zhili Zhang is 5. Frank Sanchez is 6. F.A. Ajagba is 7. Joshua's 8. Philip Hergovich and Anthony Joshua 8 and 9. He's beaten. Derek Chisora's not viable, I don't think. They're both, it's not a viable fight in my view. Otto Wallin, and I hear he's fighting someone else. Otto Wallin is 11, Wardley's 12, Jared Anderson's 13, he's just lost. Guido Vianello is 14, and Justice Hooney is 15, and he's got a fight. So for me, is it a Frank Sanchez, an Efia Jagba, an Otto Wallin, or a Guido Vianello? Those are the opponents. Frank's ruled out, Addy. Frank has ruled out Fabio Wardley, ruled him out yesterday. So who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Frank Sanchez is a risky one. I mean, but look, if you're a world champion, you should be having risky fights. I mean, they shouldn't be easy. And you look at what Dubois has done in the last 12 to 13 months. He's taken risky fights. I mean, that's what he's done. That's why he's in the position he's been in right now. It's interesting you say Chisora there, and we obviously it got dismissed very quickly. There is that history, isn't there? Chisora, Don Charles, Chisora almost was like the big brother to Daniel Dubois as well. I know Chisora wants that fight. I know he wants it. I don't think he'll get it, but he is coming off a good win against Joe Joyce. I look, personally, I know my feelings towards Chisora when it comes to fighting again, but he wants it badly, that Dubois fight. I don't think he will get it. Of the names you mentioned there, Guido Vianello is an interesting one. He beat Arslanbek Makhmudov recently.
Yes, exactly.
And he could almost sell it on that. And I don't begrudge Daniel taking an easier fight, or maybe not a bigger name, because he's done some good work. So I'm okay with him having a bit of a gimme, if you like.
It's a voluntary, and it's called a voluntary for a reason. They're allowed to pick someone from the top 15. I'm ruling out Frank Sanchez because he's coming off a defeat to Agit Kabayel. Okay, is that fair enough?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. You shouldn't get a world title coming off a defeat. I don't think.
Exactly. Jared Anderson's coming off a defeat to Martin Bacoli. Bacoli's a big test. If it was Bacoli,
is a frighteningly big test.
Maybe not for Daniel Dubois.
No one should pick him. No one will pick Bacoli as a voluntary. No one.
Yeah, but so Guido Vianello, Agit Kabayel. Kabayel deserves a shot. Otto Wallin, he's coming off a loss as well. Or no, I think he's won since.
He's had a win. Yeah, I think a first round blowout.
Yeah. And I'm hearing it's going to be around February time, and it probably will be over there in the Middle East in Riyadh. So yeah, it's a very good. But who does Joseph Parker fight then? Does he rematch Zhile Zhang in Shanghai? What happens? They were going to have a 2-fight deal though, so it was a 2-fight deal. We heard, didn't we? So I think we'll find out soon enough. I don't think it's made yet, that fight with Daniel Dubois. And as Frank keeps saying, it wasn't up to Joshua. It should be up to Daniel Dubois who he wants to fight next.
Another man who's looking to get into the very lucrative mix, if you like, Gareth, of the heavyweight scene is Mr. Dillian Whyte. And we've not seen Dillian Whyte in the ring since he fought Christian Hamer. I spoke to him on Saturday night, and he says the fire is in his belly to get back in the ring.
Yeah, I'm watching some of these fights, and I'm seeing where a lot of these guys is dropping off, and where a lot of these guys are picking up. And thinking to myself, I can still beat these guys. All these fights are still winnable. I come back out, I have a couple of obviously warm-up fights and a couple of decent fights, and I'm ready for the big fights. Obviously I still feel good. I had a little bit of rest. My body feels good. A couple of aches and niggles I had is gone, and most importantly, fire is back. I really want to fight again. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, did I miss boxing? And every time I think about it, the answer is yes. I definitely miss the fights. I missed the fight week. Speaking to you guys in the fight week, obviously, when you're tired and annoyed and stuff to do interviews and stuff, I miss all that.
Dillian Whyte there, who, Dillian Whyte, former WBC world title challenger. He's been in some really big fights. You think of that Fury one, the Chisora one, Joseph Parker fight, AJ. How does he get back into this mix? I think there are several interesting fights out there for him. What does he do, though, to get these fights?
He might need to have a fight with a Jarrell Miller or an Otto Wallin, or a Luis Ortiz or a Murat Gassiev, or, you know, or a Derek Chisora. Obviously, Derek. Yeah, Derek's 10, isn't he? I think it's with the W or the IBF. So that's, and 14 with the WBO. So that's probably the opponent to go for him right now. I think it'll be a great matchup. I'd love to see them fight again. But like you say, since the aborted, suspended fight with Anthony Joshua, who's been in the wilderness, love to have him back. But he needs to be active. Like you say, it feels that he's been very inactive.
Yeah, and not just inactive for the last couple of years. I feel like he's been inactive since the Povetkin win. I mean, he just hasn't had enough fights. We haven't seen him enough. And Dillian Whyte is, 36, 37? And at this stage of your career, I mean, again, you look at Joseph Parker and how he's rebuilt. You've got to stay active. It doesn't have to be superstar fights. We just need to see you have fights. And I thought after the Christian Hamer fight back in March, I thought we would have seen him again in August. I thought we'd have seen him at least 2 or 3 times between then and now, and nothing. And it's a shame. I mean, he must be looking at what's going on in Riyadh season and think, how do I get into the mix? I think Chisora is a really good shout. Chisora wants to get to that 5-0, doesn't he? That big 50. I mean, and I almost feel like the final fight somehow should be Dillian Whyte. That should be the 50th fight. That should be the one. 2 guys very similar in their careers and just their attitudes.
You know, the funny thing about those two is, and as I said, I'm doing BYB Extreme bare knuckle fighting as part of the team on Saturday night in Wolverhampton. You've got guys who are very well known. Bradley Scott was a UFC fighter, is headlining against Martin Martignac. But
that was a quick plug, wasn't it?
No. What I'm about to say is, it's not a plug. What I'm about to say is, I'd love to be seeing Derek Chisora against Dillian Whyte in a bare knuckle fight.
Oh no. Oh my lord. Imagine.
Would you not watch it?
No, I'd watch it through through closed palms.
Like watching a horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like a horror movie. These 2 heavyweights slugging it out without gloves. Oh, God.
It'd be like going back 200 years, wouldn't it?
It would be violent. Do you think we see Dillian Whyte have a fight before the end of the year? He spoke about wanting to get out in December.
Well, and look, we're in November, and
yeah.
Did he say he's in camp? He looked very fresh on the video that I saw. He looked fresh. He
looked a bit lighter, if I'm honest with you. Like, he didn't look as heavy. So he looks like he's trimmed down a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. I just hope that, again, look, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes in boxing. I just hope that that's all sorted out and he can have a couple more fights, because he has entertained us over the years, Dillian Whyte, in and out of the ring. He's been fantastic, and I hope that there's a couple more knocks for him. But we'll see.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.